Your objective for lesson 19 is I will multiply by multiples of 10 using the place value chart. So we are going to be working on problems such as 6 times 20 today because we are working with multiples of 10 and 20 is a multiple of 10. And when you see the word multiple, you're just thinking of skip counting by tens, all of those numbers that you say, those are multiples of 10. So we're going to be working on multiplying numbers like this, and we're going to use a place value chart and place value disk to help us with this. Okay, so you'll need your whiteboard. It says up here that you need number disk, but number disks are just like arrays. We're just going to write numbers in the circles. So I want you to draw an array that shows 2 rows of 3 ones. I want you to push pause to do this, and whenever you are ready to move on, you may push play. Okay, this is what I was looking for, and I know probably on your array you didn't have the ones in each circle, but that's what it meant by 2 rows of 3 ones. So in your array on your circles, if you will write 1 in each circle, so that way you know that we're just talking about ones here. Each circle represents 1. Each circle doesn't represent 10 or 20. So please write 1 in each circle. And then you'll notice that our equation for this is 2 times 3 ones, because we have 2 rows, and in each row we have 3, and each one of them in the row represents 1. So all in all, how many ones do we have from our array? Write that on your board. So we have 6 ones. Our array shows this equation. Is that true? Does our array show 2 times 3 ones? And when you look at it, the 2 represents for how many rows, and the 3 ones represents how many in each row. So yes, this equation does show our array, and we just found out that we had 6 ones total. So now we're gonna use the same problem, but now we're going to change it and we're going to multiply it by a multiple of 10. So now instead of saying we have 2 times 3 ones, which we knew was 6 ones, we're going to say 2 times 3 tens. So now we're going to draw the same array, but this one had 3 ones, but now this one says 3 tens. So when you draw your array, instead of putting 1 in each circle, we're going to put tens, because we're looking for 2 sets of 3 tens. So go ahead and draw that array on your board and make sure you're writing 10 in each circle. And whenever you're ready to move on, you may push play. Okay, so this is what your array should look like. You have 2 rows, that's where our 2 comes from, and then in each row you have 3 tens. So you wrote 10 in each circle. So now we are looking for how many tens do we have total. Well, when you have 3 right here and 3 right here, we know that 3 and 3 together is 6. So we have 6 tens total. I want you to look at this right here. If we were writing this in standard form, and standard form just means using your numbers, we would say it is 2 times 30, because we know that 3 tens is 30. And so it is equal to 6 tens. Now to figure out what it's equal to in standard form, just with a number, you've got to ask yourself, how much is 6 tens? And when you look up here, you can skip count by tens, or if you just know how much 6 tens is, you can write that on your board. So on your board, what is the answer to 2 times 3 tens, or 2 times 30? And it is equal to 60. So this question right here, how many tens do we have in total? We had 6. So what was the value of 6 tens? And we just found that it was 60. So multiplying by multiples of tens isn't really bad. If you think of it back at the ones, and then we're changing our ones to tens, it's not very hard to do. Okay, so now we're going to do 3 times 4 ones. I want you to draw that array and make sure you're labeling each circle as a 1. And then I want you to figure out how many ones there are in all, and I want you to write that on your board as well. Pause to do this, and when you're ready to check your answer, you can push play. So this is the array I was looking for. You have 3 rows, and in each row there's 4, and I wanted each circle to have a 1 in it. And so when we have 3 times 4 ones, that gives us 12 ones total. We're still working with 3 times 4, but now instead of doing 3 times 4 ones, we're going to look at 3 times 4 tens. So we're going to draw the same array, but instead of having ones, you need to have tens. So go ahead and fix your array to where you have tens in each circle instead of ones. And then I want you to write how many tens do you have total. Don't write the answer to 3 times 40. I want to know how many tens you have total. So do that on your board and push pause, push play whenever you're ready to check it. So this is what your array looks like now. We've got 3 rows of 4 tens, and altogether I have 12 tens because there's 4, 8, 12. So I know that 3 times 4 tens is the same thing as 3 times 40. So if 3 times 4 tens is 12 tens, then how much is 12 tens? I want you to write that on your board. I know that 12 tens is 120. Because one way I can look at it is that I know right here I have 10 tens, and I know that 10 tens is 100. And if I have these 2 tens left over, that's 10, 20. So I can say this is 100 and this is a 20. So all I have to do is do 100 plus 20, and that gives me 120. So if you didn't want to skip count by tens 12 times, you know already that 10 tens is 100. So use that whenever you can, whenever your value is more than 10 tens. Okay, now we're going to work with 2 times 6 tens. I'm not going to have you draw your array with the ones because I think that you're good with that. So now I want you to draw your array with 2 times 6 tens. Make sure you're labeling your circle with tens. And then on your board, also write how many tens do you have total. Push pause whenever you're doing this. This is what your array should look like. You have 2 rows and 6 in each row, and each one is worth 10. And whenever you skip count your rows, you've got 6 right here, and then we've got 12. So now we have 12 tens. Taking us back to what we just did, 3 times 4 tens also equal 12 tens. So you should remember what 12 tens is equal to. And I know that 12 tens is equal to 120. So 2 times 60 is 120. Okay, moving on to using the place value chart. We just used place value disk, but we're going to use this chart to write an equation in both unit form and standard form. Unit form is where you say ones or tens. Standard form is just where you use the numbers. So this chart right here shows me tens and ones. Right now I don't have any tens, I just have ones. And I see that I have 2 rows, and in each row there are 5 ones. So the equation that I'm looking for is 2 times 5 ones. And all together this is equal to 10 ones. This is the way that you write this in unit form. And if you're writing it in standard form, you would say 2 times 5 equals 10. So how many ones do we have in all? 10. Okay, so we're going to look at the same one, but we're going to change it to where we're in the tens column instead of the ones column. You notice that we still have the same number of dots in each column, but now we're looking at them in the tens column, so each circle is not worth 1 anymore, it is worth 10. So if this was 2 times 5 ones, then this right here is going to be 2 times 5 tens. And we know that we have 5 right here and 5 more right here. So altogether, that's going to give me 10 tens, which is the same thing as 2 times 50. And we know that 2 times 50 is 100 because 10 tens is 100. Okay, now we're going to move on to another problem. Notice that we have our circles in the ones column right now. So I want you to look at how many rows there are and how many are in each row. And we're going to write that equation in unit form and standard form. So whenever you're writing it in unit form, I'm going to be looking for the word ones since we're working in the ones column. So go ahead and write 2 equations on your board, one equation in unit form, and then one equation in standard form that just has the numbers that go with this array. So push pause to do that, and when you're ready, push play to check it. So I was looking for 3 times 6 ones because we've got 3 rows and each row has 6 ones. And all together we have 18 ones. And in standard form we have 3 times 6 equals 18. So how many ones do we have in all? We have 18 ones in all. Okay. We're going to look at this problem again, but now we're switching our circles over to the tens. So if we had 3 times 6 ones in this place value chart, then what is our equation going to look like for this chart since we have moved them over to the tens instead of the ones? So look at this equation right here, both of these equations, to help you write 2 new equations for this chart since we have them in the tens place. Okay, now you're going to work on 80 times 6, 7 times 90, and 60 times 4. And we're going to use the strategies that you just learned to do this. So I'm going to let you choose a strategy, either with the place value disk or with using the place value chart. And I want you to go ahead and solve 7 times 90 and 60 times 4 and 80 times 6. And when you're ready to check your answers, you can push play. So 80 times 6 is 480. 7 times 9 is 630. And 60 times 4 is 240. Why don't you go ahead and take out your problem set and have that ready? Okay, so for number 1, it says use the disk to fill in the blanks in the equations. So they're talking about all of these right here. We learned back in the concept development that these are disks. They're just place value disks. So these are just equal to 1s and these are worth 10. So it shows me right here that I have 4 times 3 ones. So how many ones do I have in all? I want you to write that number on your problem set. So we've got 12 ones in all. So that means that 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So now I'm coming over here and my place value disks are worth 10. So now I have 4 times 3 tens. So when you count how many tens you have in all, I want you to put that number right here. Okay, so in all, I have 12 tens because there are 3, 6, 9, 12. So all in all, 4 times 30 is equal to what? So you're trying to figure out how much is 12 tens. You need to push pause, do that, and write that number right here on your problem set. So 4 times 30 is 120. Okay, moving on down here to the place value charts. It says use the chart to complete the blanks in the equations. So right here you see that we have our circles in the ones column, and there are 2 rows with 4 in each row. So that's where we get 2 times 4 ones. So how many ones do we have all together? We've got 8. So that tells us that 2 times 4 is 8. Now we have the same amount of rows and how many in certain rows, but now we're in the tens column. So we've got 2 rows of 4 tens. because each one of these represents 10. So how many 10s do we have in all over here? I want you to write that number on your problem set. So we have 8 10s in all. So we're trying to figure out how much is 8 10s, because that will tell us how much 2 times 40 is. And 8 10s is the same thing as 80. Okay, on this side, I'm going to go ahead and let you do these problems on your own. So complete C, D, E, and F. And whenever you're ready to check them, I want you to push play. So for C, we had 3 times 5 ones, so that gave us 15 ones in all. So 3 times 5 is 15. Over here, we've got 3 times 5 tens, so that gave us 15 tens. So 3 times 50 is the same thing as 150. Okay, so for this one, we have 4 times 5 ones, so we have 20 ones in all. And we know that 4 times 5 is 20. Now we have 4 times 5 tens, so all in all we have 20 tens. So 4 times 50 is 200, because 20 tens is 200. Okay, moving on in the problem set, you're going to have to fill in the blanks to make this true. So this is written backwards, but it's okay. So you're trying to find the answer to 7 times 2. So I want you to write the answer to 7 times 2 right here in the blank for A. If you need to push pause, do that. 7 times 2 is 14. So when you move across here to B, now we're looking at 7 tens times 2. So how many tens do we have total? We knew that 7 times 2 was 14, and we're still working with 7 times 2, but we're looking for how many tens. So now we have 14 tens. And over here to the side, I want you to go ahead and write how much is 14 tens. Write that right here in this part of your problem set. So 14 tens is the same as 140. So now we're looking at C. What is the answer to 8 times 3? Push pause and write that right here on your problem set. So we know that 8 times 3 is 24. So working with the same numbers, 8 and 3. But now we have 8 tens times 3. So we're still going to be working with the same answer, which is 24. But now it's going to be 24 tens. So over here on this part of your problem set, I want you to write how much is 24 tens and push pause to do that. So 24 tens is going to be 240. Okay, so now I want you to go ahead and finish E, F, G, and H. And when you're ready to check your answers, you can push play. So 60 times 5 is going to be 300. 4 times 80 is going to be 320. 7 times 40 is going to be 280. And 50 times 8 is 400. Okay, so for number 4, it says a bus can carry 40 passengers. How many passengers can 6 buses carry? It says model with a type diagram. So for this one, I want you to draw a type diagram and then also write your equation that you're using to solve how many passengers can fit on 6 buses. And when you're ready to check your answer, I want you to push play. So for the type diagram, I was looking for 6 sections because we have 6 buses. And in each section, you have 40 passengers. So in all, we had 6 buses. We just did not know how many passengers we were going to have. The equation that you needed to be writing was 6 times 40. And we know that 6 times 40 is the same thing as 6 times 4 tens. And I know that 4 tens is 40, so our answer was 240. Okay, you're going to go ahead and work on the exit slip. You're going to complete the exit slip, and whenever you're finished with the exit slip, make sure you bring that to me whenever you're finished.